One way to look at the Trump administration and what to expect from them in the future is that it is an abrupt reversal of the Biden administration. I think my biggest concern would be a move away from global collective action on pressing problems, climate and security and public health, to name a few. There seems to be a rejection of COP already, moving out of the Paris Agreement, emphasis on carbon-based fuel production and a canceling of the green. So I think this is quite harmful to prospects of international cooperation, and my hope would be that the rest of the world would ignore this rather than learn from it. But if people view the Trumpian moment as something to learn from, then I think we're in big trouble for the world economy.
Yes, the globalists are terrified. In Davos, the wealth elites are in full panic mode. You can hear it in their trembling voices. Their grip on power is slipping. The election of President Trump has sent shockwave through their globalist stronghold, shaking the very foundations of their sinister plans. That is what I realize. The people are waking up. The narratives they control for so long is crumbling. Their whisper of control, censorship, and manipulation can no longer drown out the roar of freedom. Trump's return has ignited a global movement against their agenda, and they know their days of unchecked dominance are numbered.
Some people are describing here in Davos as a vibe shift around the topic of ESG.
That's the word of the last 3 years.
Vibes, right? Vibes. No, but a vibe shift, because I would say here in Davos, and I know you said this is your first time
Yes.
here. The topic of ESG and companies that were pursuing efforts in that realm was topic A here every single year, and it feels like that is shifting in the United States, in part because of this election. And I'm curious how you think that's going to impact states and how they react to all of this.
I think you've seen a huge shift away from that, from corporations, not just in the U.S., but everywhere. And I certainly think that is reflected here. At the end of the day, people want to know, can you deliver? Can you deliver on the products that you promise? Are you going to be able to perform at the level that they expect? Not whether or not you're checking some arbitrary boxes. And so I think it is a huge shift that we've seen over the course of the last several years. I think it's one of the reasons Donald Trump is president, because he wasn't afraid to call those things out. He wasn't afraid to go against some of the political correctness and do what he felt was right.
So what's going to happen in your state?
I believe you're hearing them. You can see how trembling they are. Trump coming into power has shifted this issue of ESG, and they know it. Just imagine if Kamala won. This will continue. You will not see this panic like this. Now going into another video, they are panicking about social media platforms not being able to tell us what to say. They are not happy with the way social media platforms are coming together to say, oh, we are not doing fact check any longer. If Trump did not win, you will never say things like that. I saw this video, I was like, so these people actually knew what exactly they have been doing in the past, pushing all this through.
In transparency, I think the biggest erosions have taken place in media. When it comes to the media, we have seen increasingly, also in government, in places where leading up to elections, governments have cracked down on media. We see issues like digital cyber libel laws, which are these broadly permissive laws, started in places like the Philippines, for example, but the domino has just been falling all over the world. And that essentially these are laws that stifle dissent. These are laws that can silence bloggers, they can silence journalists from expressing dissenting views. And I think when it comes to this issue of space, I think civic space and space for alternative voices is probably one of the things that is most under threat, and something that we must rally towards to protect if we want to maintain democratic space and democratic institutions. And the biggest way that space is being eroded is both digitally but also physically. we are seeing increasingly governments moving towards everything from foreign agents laws. And one thing I want to warn everyone is never assume that a bad idea in one place is just isolated to that place. Because the other big threat we are seeing is once upon a time, the threats to democracy were autocrats, right? And you thought, oh, the autocrats have a handbook. And some of them will share their handbook. That's gone. The new era is, and because of digital communication, they're just taking a page out of that handbook. And one of the things that we've seen that's been particularly destructive to democracies is things like foreign agent laws. My organization had to deal with this in Russia a couple of years ago. We thought, it's Russia, it's Putin, it's not a surprise, but it is deadly for civil society and alternative views. And now they've popped up in Hungary, they've popped up in Georgia, they've popped up in, I think it's Kyrgyzstan. So, we have to keep our eye on the prize and really be protecting the institutions which are rights respecting, that essentially allow us to enjoy not democratic rights, but actually the simple things that make us feel, allow us to feel
I propose putting an end to anonymity on social media. In our countries, no one can walk the streets with a face or drive a car without a license plate. No one can send packages without showing an ID or buy a handphone without giving their name. And yet, we are allowing people to roam freely on social networks without linking their profiles to a real identity. This paving the way for missing speech and cyber, because it is facilitating the use of bots and it is allowing people to act without being held accountable for their actions. Such an anomaly cannot continue. In a democracy, citizens have the right to privacy, not to anonymity or impunity, because with those two, social coexistence would be impossible. That is why I believe we must push forward the principle of pseudonymity as the functioning element of social media and force all these platforms to link every user account to an European digital identity wallet.
Yes, this is their agenda. It is clear now. Look at what this man is advocating. Social media platforms should not hide any person identity. Then just imagine what they would do with this information. They would target people using all these. If you commit a crime, they can go after to see more information about you. That is what I've been saying. Not allowing every person information to be open there for every person to see. Imagine how many people will target you. Maybe this can happen in his own country. It should not be allowed to happen. I want to know your opinion, what you think after watching this segment, because to me, I'm furious listening to this man spew this throughout. It's crazy, right?
Donald Trump will be president, and you may not see me. Next 4 years.
So, on the question of the dealing of Elon Musk, I had a lot of things to comment in the past because he was discussing a lot about Europe. And just to repeat what I already said, we have the freedom of speech in Europe and in Germany. Everyone can say what he wants, even if he is a billionaire. And what we do not accept is if this is supporting extreme right positions. What I would like to repeat again.
But I do think the U.S.-China relationship is probably the one that is most problematic to get a deal.
It's very grubby to me.
I want to end the video by saying this for people who have been following me. You realize at the end of the day, I usually put videos at the end. This is for the algorithm. If you see this, you can skip. You can watch the video to a certain level and stop.
Where awful things have happened. So,
However,
And sparks move things. And it doesn't matter how much water you have.
Future president and his gag
are functionality in policy.
The city of the Pacific Palisades is burning, and I flew here last night.
You getting water to areas that need water
for the work that he's been trained his whole life to do.
What do we do?
All right, right now you're looking.
Remember it.
We as a country about James.
Yeah, and then I think all our tax dollars probably went for Gavin's hair gel. I don't know, but it's like, it's sad.
Jordan.
In the 5 tenants of
Palisades Village right here. This is the town center of sorts.
And he did this little dance.
Josh Green, the governor of down in Hawaii, who had some.
And then we watch the news or talk to my friends